Hello and welcome to Driver's Therapy. In today's video, we're going to be rebuilding our shifter with parts that we got from MegaZip. Now, we have some of the parts to do a complete rebuild. I don't have all of them, but I have the diagram, the torque specs, and a lot of the parts that need to be replaced, and the famous Honda Eurogrease. So let's go ahead and show you how to remove the shifter first. Pretty easy process. And then once you have it on a bench, you're gonna go ahead and disassemble it. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna refresh it, and it should help our 30-year-old car feel just a little bit better with new parts. The first step is to remove your center console to access the shift lever. If you don't know how to remove the center console, I will refer you to Chris Lum's video. He has a great video how to do that. So go ahead and check that out if you need instructions how to remove that center console. Okay, at this point, you're gonna have to remove 4 bolts. Using a 12mm socket, you're gonna remove 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you're gonna have to loosen these 2 bolts to the lollipops that go to the transmission cables. And you could use a 10mm ratchet wrench to take them off, and simply you just remove them. But be careful because there's a special washer and a nut, and then it'll come out. So we have the shifter, the bracket, and the whole assembly out, and now we're gonna disassemble it, and we're gonna see how these parts held up over 30 years. Okay, there was a little washer here. We wanna remember where that was at. And here is our part that we're replacing, and let's go ahead and see how everything looks. So we have a new one right here. We have an old one right here. And really, unless we got super technical with micrometers and everything else, it would be really hard to see how everything really turned out. But since we have a new part, we're just gonna put the new part in there. We have a new little slide. And one of the things I do notice is that it's got a little bit of grease, but not a lot. So I just wanna show you have a new part and an old part, and we're gonna go ahead and just start putting that back together. All right, one of the first things you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna clean the bracket. And when I first wiped it, it looked like that. And it's just probably the old grease. But now that we're in here, we're just gonna go ahead and clean it up and make sure that we're good to go. All right, so we're now gonna start greasing stuff. And this Eurogrease is so popular in the Honda community. It is literally designed for what we're doing, which is good. And I'm gonna be liberal with it because, I mean, this stuff moves so many times. I'm gonna stick some in there. And then we're gonna put our little assembly inside here. I'm gonna go back and forth with it, and then take it out and do one more coating. It kind of smells like all grease smells, but that's all good in the neighborhood. All right, so now what we did remember was that this crush washer was on this side. For temporary purposes, we're just gonna put all this, and with the crush washer, it's actually a tight fit. We're gonna put that there just for temporary purposes. And now we're gonna try to get this main shifter out of here. It is really tight in here. All right, we have it out. And then of course we're gonna clean that area as well. Okay, so first let's go ahead and put our old parts so they don't confuse us somewhere else. And now we have our famous shifter assembly. Okay, so like I said, we have a lot of these parts. Some looks like they look different from the ones that I originally had, but we're gonna start taking stuff apart and go from there. And the key, even though we have the diagram, the key is to remember how everything comes off. All right, and now we're gonna take off all of this in one piece, and we're gonna leave this like this. We don't wanna mess with that quite yet. Okay, so we got this piece off, and I'm gonna remove that. and that matches with our new one. And then I'm going to push this one aside, and that matches with our new one. And then this bushing is inside here, and that matches with our new one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, with our new stuff, we're just going to kind of do a reverse order on that and go from there. So we got this one piece ready right here. We're going to put our other pieces to the side. We're going to flip it around, and I'm assuming it's the same thing for the other side, except it got stuck in here. Oh, now I see where these things go. And then this part right here looks like it's kind of in there. We'll see if we get that out real quick. All right, we're gonna push this out like that. And interesting, this has like a, kind of like this thing over it, which I will pull out. But we're gonna clean that up. A lot of stuff real here is real dirty. But look at this, guys. There's a big difference between these two. And I'm not sure which one is better. Okay, so I'm actually thinking that back in the days, because this was from 1991, this is how they made it. And as time went on, I think this was their way of saving money, because definitely a solid piece of metal, and this is super light and it's plasticky. This still looks good. If this had any pitting or rusting or anything like that, I wouldn't use it because, you know, it wouldn't be smooth. But we're gonna use our original one. So let's go ahead and put that back together. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna apply our O-rings to our little cage. That's what I'm calling it, a cage, because it looks like some type of cage or some type of cool little futuristic thing. So with all O-rings, I'm adding some lubrication, and then let's go ahead and put these on. All right, we got one on, and then we're gonna do the other one. Again, mega zip. All right, so this is the part where we need to use a lot of this stuff. And I feel like this thing is kind of a little bit, we have to be liberal with this. Yeah. All right. And then I'm just gonna do the same with my finger here. Just gonna use some, and I'm assuming because it has O-rings and because it has all this stuff, like once this is on here, you know. What do you think, guys? Do you think we need more? I think we're good. So I printed out the diagram from the service manual, and it has some important information. It tells you what needs to be greased and the torque specifications. So it says to grease the ball, we did that, and it says to grease the O-rings, and we did that. So at this point in time, we also cleaned this out, but what I'm gonna do, and this is just because this is how I roll, I'm gonna get a little bit of grease on my hand, on my finger, and I'm just gonna go around the inside. Yeah, just like that. And then at this point in time, put the cap on this because it's very potent stuff. I'm gonna put this back in here, and it should just pop in. Boop. Just like that. All right. All right, so as we rebuild, we have another O-ring we gotta put on. We're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of grease on it, and it fits in there just perfectly. And then we've got to put in this bad boy, which goes like that. And then this actually goes like that. It's there's kind of a little click to it. And then this kind of doesn't have a up and down. And boom, look at that, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it already feels smooth. We're gonna go ahead and put our bolts through it and then flip it around. We're gonna do the same with this side. We're gonna put some grease. We're gonna put our O-ring in. I got too much grease on my hand. And then we're gonna put this bad boy on here. And then this goes down. Doesn't matter which way. That felt a little better. And then this will go like this. All right, oops. Hold up. Shapes. And now we're gonna put our nuts on and everything should stay in place. And then we're gonna go ahead and get our torque wrench. Since we have the torque specs, it's gonna be 7 foot-pounds and we converted it to inch pounds, which is 84, and I just rounded up to 85. 1, 2, all right. All right, it says this little area needs some grease, so we're gonna pound some in there. Get that all greased up. Nice. Okay, we're gonna start mocking up this part of the shifter. So we have to get this part kind of in here. Okay, so this is how you do it. You put this in first. All right, so we're gonna put our crush washer in here. And then we're gonna, it's a real tight fit with the crush washer. I think we're getting there. It's a little finicky, but we're gonna get there. Okay, and now we're going to put our bolt in. All right, this is a lot easier by holding it like that. Okay. We're gonna put it on this one. And these are also 7 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, make sure that you apply some grease when you're reassembling this part. All right, we just came back from a test drive and it doesn't feel like crazy different, but it definitely does feel a little tighter. Nothing like major, but you know what? It was pretty cool because I drove with it without anything on and it was pretty cool to see it kind of like in its raw state. But I love it. I know that my shifter is all freshened up. And again, I got my parts from MegaZip. So if you want to do this, go check out MegaZip. And we appreciate you watching. You take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.